Orgoth the Relentless. Finally, we have an effective way to use Duke Devlin's ace monster from the anime show. It has a really cool effect, but it's not the easiest thing to summon given that it's a level 7 monster. But finally with this deck, we have a really good way to utilize it. So first off, if you didn't know, Orgoth the Relentless, level 7, 2500 attack with 2450 defense. Its effect says you, once per turn, during your main phase, you can roll a 6-sided die 3 times, and you gain attack points times 100 equal to the number that you rolled overall combined. But if you roll 2 of the 3 results as the same, you get an effect. So like if you roll 2 2s or 2 1s or like 2 4s, you get an effect based off the die roll that you got. So if it's a 1 or a 2, this card can't be destroyed by battle or by card effects until the end of your opponent's turn. If you roll 2 3s or 4s, you get to draw 2 cards, or if it's a 5 or 6, this card can attack directly. So, but if you roll 3 of the same, so let's say you roll 3 3s or 3 5s or whatever, you get all 3 effects. So Orgoth is actually a really powerful card when you can get it onto the board, but summoning it to the field is the big problem that you have with this. But that's where our skill and the pendulum deck comes into effect. So our skill is Summoning Crest. This is an amazing skill that starts out by just saying add 1 Orgoth the Relentless from your deck to hand, which is awesome. Then you roll a die 3 times, and depending on the result, you get an effect. The main one you worry about is the 11 or higher. If your die rolls, the 3 dice that you roll, total a number 11 or higher, you have to return a card from your hand to the deck. So you don't get the plus off of adding the Orgoth, you gotta send something back, which is okay, you can usually still get your combos off, but you'd rather just get the free plus from adding the Orgoth, right? There are other effects you can get too. If it's 9 or lower, your Orgoth will become a level 4, so you can just normal summon it to the field where you don't have to worry about pendulum summoning it. And if it's 6 or lower, you can normal summon twice in 1 turn, which really doesn't come up too much. You mostly care about not having to share or send the card from your hand back to the deck, but occasionally the turning it into a level 4 will come up as well. Beyond that, getting Orgoth to the field, as mentioned, we're going to be using our pendulum scales to do it, and these sort of odd eyes, this odd eyes pendulum engine is really effective at doing so. It's extremely consistent with how many searchers we have in here, and you get tons of pluses off of it. So your main high scale is going to be scale 8, and then really anything under 7 is fine. So ideally, you want to get the Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon and the Odd Eyes Arc Pendulum Dragon to the field, because then you can be able to pen summon all of your level 7s, mainly your Orgoth, to the board. And then, of course, the end phase, Pendulum Dragon will destroy itself, sending it to the extra deck, allowing you to search your deck for another Pendulum monster. That's going to trigger Arc Dragon's effect to summon another monster from your deck to the board, and then you're going to have the Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon in your extra deck to summon next turn. So it sets you up really well if you can get this combo off turn 1. And it really just puts you far ahead in card advantage, and you can very easily search for these things as well, right? We have so many searchers for them between the 2 Skullcrobat Jokers, the 2 Summoner's Arts, the 3 Spiral Flame Strike. We have tons of ways to search out these 2 cards, and we have plenty of other pen monsters in here as well, along with Painful Decision to search them out. Now, to make the skill work, we need 9 cards in our deck that roll dice. This is where the other pendulums come into effect. So Orgoth automatically takes up a third of that, right? 3 Orgoth, that's 3 of the 9. So we need 6 other dice roll cards in our deck to make the Summoning Crest skill work. And that's where the Hollow, the Mild Turkey, and the Ghost Beef are going to come into play here. So Hollow, you just roll a die and you can change like monsters' levels on the field. You're not going to use this one too much. The other ones you use a little bit more. Mild Turkey starts out as a pen scale 7, but you can roll a die to lower its level, so you can always guarantee that you can summon Orgoth with it, because it's always going to be a pendulum scale 6 or lower after you roll that die. Ghost Beef, similar. It starts out as a 4 and it gets higher, so you can either just use this as a scale 4 combined with your scale 8s, or if you have another low scale, you can roll the die and hopefully roll like a 4 or higher to try to make this a pen 8 scale or more. So this can potentially be a high or a low scale for you if you're lucky enough with it. And again, Painful Decision can search out these cards, giving you just a little bit more consistency to get to your pendulum scales. So we also, I want to note that Hollow is a tuner monster as well, and the levels with all these monsters works out great, right? Hollow is a level 3, combined with Skullcrobat Joker or Mild Turkey, which are 4s. You can go into 7s very easily, like Meteor Burst Dragon, which is a really powerful card. Also, with your 7s, you can go into 10, like Rudy Rose Dragon. Also, Ghost Beef is a level 7, so you can use it to go into rank 7s with your other monsters that you summon to the board. So there's just a lot of good interactions with these cards together, a lot of synergy with their levels and that. Beyond that, the rest of our deck is just a few back row cards. We have 3 Book of Moon, 1 Necro Valley, 1 Compulse, and 2 Floodgate Trap Hole. We don't have a skill that gives us extra Pendulum Zones, right? So your Pendulum skills are going to be taking up 2 of your 3 back row spots. So you're not going to be able to play more than 1 back row at a time. So that's why we're not running more in here. Occasionally, if you do open up with more than 1 back row cards, you can end up actually sending it back to your deck with your skill. Sometimes that'll be the play, the way to go with your play, to be able to just make sure you can put everything out on the board turn 1. That's also why we run Necro Valley in this deck, because if you open up with Necro Valley and another back row card, you can have them both on the field, right? Because obviously your field spell doesn't take up one of your back row slots. So, and this card can also just win you games sometimes on its own. I don't know if I have the video from, but I played a Tower Knight player and just Necro Valley just completely shut it down. He couldn't get rid of it with his initial play, and after that he had no way to out Necro Valley and he just lost. So yeah, really powerful cards though, to round out the rest of the main deck here. So in the extra deck, the newest addition was a Rudy Rose Dragon. You do have the option sometimes to go into level 10 Synchro monsters. Your main extra deck monster that you're going to be using from the Synchro engine anyways is going to be the Odd Eyes Meteor Burst Dragon. Really powerful card, obviously the Hollow when any of your level 4s will go into it. And when it hits the board, you can special summon your Odd Eyes Arc Pendulum Dragon to the field, and then go for an XYZ play, or just have a ton of damage on the board with it. So Meteor Burst Dragon is actually really powerful in this deck. I was surprised when I added it in, just how effective this card was in helping you make your plays. We also have a single Black Rose Dragon in here. I don't really think I use this one too much, but it is nice to have the option in here. Same thing with the Dark Arm, the Dragon of Annihilation. Didn't really use this one too much, but it's good to have it in here. This card is huge though. Number 11, Big Eye. This card is absolutely huge for stealing games, stealing your opponent's monsters, and finishing them off. This was definitely a huge key in winning numerous games for me. And so was this one, the Volo Ferignas, the Darkest Dragon Doom Rider. This card is huge. You can detach 2 materials to blow up a monster on it, but if you have a dragon as one of the materials, you can do it during your opponent's turn. So very often you're going to use your Odd Eyes monsters to go into this thing, and then you're going to, or your Meteor Burst Dragon, and then you'll be able to very easily have another interruption during your opponent's turn, right? If you can combine this with like a set Floodgate or whatever, it can be very difficult for your opponent to get through that board sometimes. And then last but not least, we also have a number 70 Malevolent Sin in here. It comes up at times where you're going to be able to go into a rank 4, so if there's the most important extra deck cards, I would say that would definitely be Big Eye, the Doom Rider, and the Meteor Burst Dragon. Those are the 3 that you go into more than anything else. You just definitely need one rank 4 in here, Malevolent Sin, or another one is fine, but those are kind of the main extra deck cards you got. So going first, as I said, your main play, you really want to get out these 2 Odd Eyes cards and then Pendulum Summon Orgoth to the board. Again, twice per duel, you're going to be able to add Orgoth to your hand, hopefully not have to shovel anything back, and you should very easily, with all your search cards, be able to Pendulum Summon it to the field, give it a bunch of attack points, and if you get really lucky and hit 3 or 4s, you can draw 2 cards. But then, of course, these cards will activate in the end play, you'll get all the pluses off your Odd Eyes engine, so going first, you want to get that set up with at least 1 back row set. Going second, you are going to be using Orgoth to try to break your opponent's board. We don't have a ton of ways to get rid of back row besides the Spiral Flame Strike, which does come up occasionally. You'll set a pen scale and then be able to pop your opponent's back row with the Flame Strike, which is really nice. But going second, Orgoth jumps up to just such a high attack point. You can easily swing over things with it. We can easily summon it to the board again, so that's going to be your main way of clearing things out. But also, the Big Eye is going to be huge. If you can get rid of all your opponent's back row and then just steal their monster with the Big Eye and start swinging over things, usually that's enough to win games. So I was actually really surprised by how well this deck did. I had a lot of fun playing with it. This is one of the more fun, I guess you would say, like rogue, not even rogue deck, just like non-meta fun decks that's actually fairly good. It's not the best deck, but it's actually really fun to play with. It does pretty well. Let's go ahead and jump into the gameplay. Okay, so our first match is against Galaxy Eyes, and we have our Odd Eyes engine here. So first things first, we're going to search for Orgoth from our deck with our skill. We'll roll 3 die, and hopefully we get something less than 11. And we do here, it's only a total of 6, so we don't have to shuffle anything back. And our Orgoth is a level 4 now, so we'll search for our Pendulum scales. Don't even need to Pendulum summon the Orgoth, we can just normal summon it here because of the skill. And now we get the amazing summon animation. This is one of the coolest summon animations in the game, in my opinion. I absolutely love this one with the monster coming out of the dice like that. So we summon the Orgoth to the board, and now we can activate its effect, shuffle a die 3 times again. 2, 3, 5. So it's going to get a 1,000-point attack boost. We don't get any additional benefits, but during the end phase, our Pendulum Dragon effect activates, destroying itself, searching our deck for Hollow, and summoning another monster from our deck. So we're in a good position here. We have this Spiral Flame Strike to search our deck for more cards next turn. We have the Tuner in our hand, a Pendulum Scale, so good spot to be in, and we can use our skill one more time. So our opponent's going to MST away our Pendulum Scale, summon the Galaxy Wizard, going for the Galaxy Zero so we can bring back a monster from the grave now. And he's going to have that monster in the grave because of his skill. He dumps the Photon Dragon, brings it back to the board. Now he's going to go with the Expedition. Now he activated the skill to put the number 90 Galaxy Photon Lord from his extra deck into the extra deck. I'm kind of surprised he didn't go for the skill that just lets him summon the summon this monster off of the off of the Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon on its own. But okay, that's an interesting decision. So he uses it, pops my Orgoth, then he ranks up again in the Decipher Blade Dragon, pops my Pendulum Dragon, but he's only able to do 3,200 with that. Can't go onto the 4K monster afterwards. So we still have 800 life points. We can normal summon our Skulkerback Joker, trying to bait out his back row, see if it is anything. Galaxy doesn't run a ton of back row, so you kind of hope that it isn't. So go ahead and activate our skill now. We add the Orgoth from our deck to hand, roll a dice 3 times. The total here is going to be 11, so we have to shuffle something back from our hand into our deck, but it's okay because we still have Pendulum Scales here to do what we need to do. So activate our scales, the Arc, summon the Hollow, gonna go ahead and activate the Spiral Sphere Strike to take out one of the 2 back row, and then we'll go ahead and Pendulum Summon. Bring out the Orgoth. Now we need Orgoth to get at least 700 attack points here to just swing over this thing, but we could also just XYZ summon into like a Big Eye and steal the monster. So we have numerous ways to deal with this. So we roll 3 of the same number. Remember I said if you roll a die 3 times and if all 3 are the same, you get all 3 effects. So Orgoth gains 600 attack points, which isn't enough to swing over, but we also draw 2 cards, and it can be destroyed by battle, and it can attack directly now too. So we'll draw our Painful Decision, draw our Compulse, go ahead and activate the Painful Decision just to thin out our deck and get the search off now so it's not dead later on. Now we'll go for our XYZ play. We'll go into the Big Eye and steal his monster, and his monster combined with the Skulkerback Joker is enough to deal 4K damage per game. Our opponent's other back row card isn't going to help him at all, so we get the win. Our next game here is against Resonator. This deck got a boost fairly recently with the skill. It's less restrictive as to what you can have in your extra deck, and it adds extra copies of Red Rising Dragon into your extra deck, so you're not just limited to 3 summons and then you're done anymore. So this deck actually got a pretty significant boost. It's not enough to make it a meta deck, a contender right now, but it definitely got a boost, and very interesting to see it. So he goes first. He has the sort of standard Red Rising play where he's able to go into his combo play and end the board on a Resonator, a Hot Red Dragon Archfiend, and 1 back row. So we, though, have everything we need to go into a Pendulum Summon of our own. So first things first, I want to get rid of this back row. So let's just activate our Pendulum Scale, activate the Spear Strike, take out the back row, get it off the board so we don't have to deal with it. And that was a good decision because it was a TTH. So now we're going to activate our skill, add the Orgoth to hand. We'll roll a die 3 times here, 4, 1, and 7. So it's under 11, so we don't need to shuffle anything from our hand into our deck, which is big. We can then go ahead and activate our Pendulum Scale and Hollow, and Pendulum Summon to the board our Orgoth the Relentless. I won't make you guys sit through the summon animation again. Activate his effect, shuffle a die 3 more times. So we get a 2, and a 1. So it's not a big ol' attack boost. In fact, we're still only at 3,000 attack points with this thing. So that's really unfortunate. However, though, Orgoth, because of it, we rolled 2 2s, it gets the 1 or 2 dice effect. So this card can't be destroyed by battle or by card effects until the end of our opponent's next turn. So now Orgoth can swing into his Hot Red Dragon Archfiend. His monster will be destroyed, but ours isn't. So we use both of our monsters to swing over his 2 monsters, clean out his board, and now it goes back to his turn, and he has to start using his Wild Winds out of the graveyard. So he does that. Wild Wind's going to search his deck for a Crimson Resonator. We do have the Floodgate Trap whole set, though, so we can mess up his play here. Now, it's not gonna lie, when I first started playing this, I kind of forgot that they have the skill now that adds extra Red Rising Dragon, so I was kind of thinking, we just gotta deal with 3 of these things, and we're good. So, he summons the first one from the deck, or from the extra deck. We end up hitting it with the Floodgate Trap hole, which is nice. He can't go into the rest of his plays here. However, though, he does still have a skill to use Demon Resonance to shuffle for the Wild Wind, which he's gonna do. So he can still go into another Synchro play here. That's fine, because he's still using up his resources. He is still limited with how many Wild Winds he has, right? So use the effect, bring it back, go into a level 8. He's able to go into the Dark End Dragon here, which is interesting, but remember, Orgoth can't be destroyed by card effects right now, so he has to have some other way to take it out. So Dark End sends it to the graveyard, it finds a way around that. He's then able to swing over my monster, and we're really needing to top deck something right now because we're in trouble. But we do have our skill as well, so Orgoth the Relentless, add, and hopefully get a low die roll here so that we don't have to shuffle anything back into our deck, and it's just under the limit, so we don't have to shuffle the Orgoth back in. So we use our skill here, or excuse me, our Pendulum monsters to Pendulum summon all 3 things to our board. We're going to Synchro for 7 into the Meteor Burst Dragon. Meteor Burst Dragon's effect can then summon the Odd Eyes Arc Pendulum Dragon to the field. Then going to go ahead and utilize Orgoth's effect. Roll a dice 3 times. We end up, again, making so it can't be destroyed by battle or by card effect. We go into the Volopharinges. He's at 9,000 life points, so we can't OTK him this turn, right? Like, we got to prepare for his turn next turn. So we're going to go ahead and Pendulum Summon into the Volopharinges, the Doom Rider, so that we can interrupt his play next turn because it's all we have. So we'll go ahead and swing over his monsters, clean out his board so he has nothing left, and he has to rely on the Wild Wind play. And then, again, we'll have to use our Doom Rider here to completely just shut down his combo. So, banish, search his deck, get all the cards he needs to go for a summon here. He Book of Moons our monster, which is going to stop us from being able to interrupt his play. He has his Demon Resonance skill to activate again, is able to search for the Doom Cal this time, because if you check his banish pile at this point, he's banished all 3 copies of the Wild Wind here, so he needs whatever monster he can to go into his Synchro play. So summon the Resonator, summon the Doom Cal, go for this level 6 Synchro play. This is what sucks about playing with Resonators, right? You're making the same plays every game. The deck gets very stale sometimes, and you're just making the same plays over and over again. So summon the Hot Red Dragon Archfiend. At this point, he's at 11,000 life points. He's going to be able to go into the Hot Red Dragon Archfiend, which has 3,500 attack points, can very easily swing over just about anything. So we're really relying on top decks and Orgoth's effect to try to draw some cards or something. So first things first, let's activate the Orgoth effect and see if we can get the draw cards off of it. We roll a 1, a 3, and a 4. So no drawing cards, but we get a nice attack boost. So now we can summon the Squawkerbat Joker. Joker's going to let us search our deck, and we really need to find a way to deal with this thing. This is where I really wanted to put what's the name? That rank 4 monster that lets you take attack points off the dragon. I forget, it's an XYZ dragon. So you can easily swing over monsters like this. And I might still put that in there. I'm thinking about taking the Dark Arm Dragon out of the extra deck. So, but either way, we can go ahead and Synchro Summon here into the into the Black Rose Dragon, just so we have a level 7. We can go into a Big Eye now, steal his monster, and we got 2 big old monsters to try to finish him off with. Again, he's running out of resources because he doesn't have any more Wild Wind left. We just got to take him out from like 11,000 life points, which is where he's at right now. So go ahead and Pendulum Summon another monster to the board, swing, 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 and finally that's enough to finish him off, and we survive Red Resonator, running him out of resources. So our next match is against Trains. This one we're going second, so our opponent opens up with the Pegasus and another monster. They can easily go into a rank 10 on turn 1. Gonna bring out the Super Dreadnought Rail Cannon Gustav Max. This is another cool summon animation, actually. Some of these summon animations are actually really cool, I gotta admit. So, summon the Gustav Max, able to hit me for 1,000 life points of damage before I even get the chance to play. Then gonna XYZ summon again into the Super Dreadnought and put a 6,000 attack point monster on the board. That is a pretty big, intimidating monster. So, come to our turn, we're gonna activate our skill immediately, search the Orgoth, let's roll a dice 3 times and see what comes up. We got a 3, a 2, and a 2, so we don't have to shuffle anything from our hand back into our deck. However, another thing too is that this thing's going to be a level 4 now, so don't even need a Pendulum Summon either. We'll just normal summon it straight to the board, activate its effect to roll 3 more dice, and see what we can get. So we get a 4, a 5, and a 4. Boom, 2 4s. Anytime you get 2 3s or 2 4s, it's huge because you get to draw 2 cards. So we draw 2 more cards, and we're looking at a pretty good spot here, given that we're at 7 cards and our opponent only has 3 on the board right now. So we have pretty good card advantage. So going to go ahead, excuse me, 8 cards. Forgot the extra draw. So activate our Pendulum Scale. That's going to make Spiral Spear Strike live. So we're just going to take out his monster and just deal with it immediately. I'm not sure what his back row is, but we're just going to make him activate it. So activate our other Pendulum Scale. And I'm not even going to Pendulum Summon either of our other 2 monsters to the board here. Just set our 1 back row, swing, and see what he has. Because obviously neither of these are really too intimidating on their own. And we're going to get the summon in the end phase off of the Arc Pendulum Dragon anyway. So he Book of Moons our monsters. Odd Eyes searches our deck for the Hollow Hollow, triggering Arc Pendulum Dragon's effect, allowing us to summon another Pendulum Dragon. He then activates TTH, clearing out our 2 monsters, but that also took out his last card, so all he has is whatever he top decks here, which is the Heavy Freight Train, so we'll just floodgate it, make it so that it can't do anything. Come back to our turn, again, activate our skill, search our deck for Orgoth, roll 3 dice, get a 6, a 2, and a 2, so don't have to shuffle anything back in, which is okay because we still have our Pendulum Scale, so we can Pendulum Summon the Orgoth to the board. We'll do that here, activate our Pendulum Scale, the Hollow Hollow, Pen Summon both the Arc Dragon from our deck to the board, as well as the Orgoth the Relentless, roll a dice 3 times, pretty good attack points, swing over his monster, swing, we have the we have 8,000 damage by finishing him off with the Hollow Hollow. Easy win here over Trains. Okay, now this one is against DDDs. Oh man, I really wish we had extra Pendulum Scales for this deck here. It would help so much with being able to set multiple back row. But it's okay. Our opponent goes first. He has the Dark Contract, able to search for the Kepler. Kepler's going to let him search for the other Dark Contract, the trap card. It's going to let him pop monsters or anything on our board. Activate his skill, he's able to place his Pendulum Scales up, the ideal ones with the Orthos next to the Savant Kepler, and summoning a full 3 monsters to the board straight off. XYZ summon with all 3 into the Coach King Giant Trainer. That's going to let him draw 3 cards out of his deck. So he draws a Swirl Slime, a Book of Moon, and another Book of Moon. So we know he's going to have a Book of Moon and probably a Dark Contract with the Witch set as his 2 back row. So come to our turn, activate our skill, roll 3 dice. Hopefully it's less than 11, 10 or lower. 1, 5, 5, so it's exactly 11, and we have to shuffle something back from our deck. So I'll send the Necro Valley back. Yeah, Necro Valley does help in this matchup, but I really need to ensure that we get our monsters out to the field here, and that I can like swing over this Coach King Giant Trainer and try to fight through this board here that he's established. So we'll go ahead and activate our first Pendulum Scale, activate our second Pendulum Scale, activate the Summoner's Art to search our deck for the for the other monster. That way we have numerous things we can summon here. Search for Hollow Hollow off the Painful Decision. Just want to kind of thin out our deck a little bit. Probably could have waited till after we made our plays if we didn't want to summon these, but we can go ahead and summon our 2 big monsters here. He's going to Book of Moon our Arc Pendulum Dragon, which is going to prevent us from going into an XYZ play here, but he really should have booked the Orgoth. This is kind of a big misplay here because now we get to activate Orgoth's effect. We got to roll 3 dice, 4, 4, 3, and what happens when we roll 2 4s or 2 3s? We get to draw 2 cards. So we'll draw 2 cards out of our deck, including a book, which we can set here. Set the Book of Moon, swing over his monster. He's going to use his Book of Moon to flip our monster face down, which is interesting because it means he didn't set the Dark Contract with the Witch. I thought he would set one along with the book, but he's saving it in hand for now. But we also know that we know what his other card in hand is. Both his cards in hand are at this point, right? Swirl Slime and the Dark Contract trap card. So he flipped both of our monsters face down. He should have flipped the Orgoth right away. It was a huge mistake on him. Don't make the mistake if you play against Orgoth yourself. But so we'll pass on to his turn. He takes the 1,000 hit from the Searcher, which is fine for him. He gets a search with it again right here, no problem. Now he goes for the fusion play, the High King Genghis. Now remember, this is a big problem for us because we only can set 1 back row, so we can't really stop the Genghis at all. So he's just going to have free reign to just swing through both of our monsters here, and there's not much we can do about it. However, though, we do trigger the Odd Eyes Arc Pendulum Dragon effect when this is destroyed by battle. So I could have Book of Moon I tried to Book of Moon his Flame High King Genghis, which would have forced it to bait out its effect, which would allow me to then activate the Odd Eyes Arc Pendulum Dragon. I should have done that, but it's okay. We'll let him negate this. It's not like it destroys it or anything. We still keep the scale in place. So go ahead and come back to our turn. We'll normal summon the Skullcraback Joker to search for the Odd Eyes Arc Pendulum. Activate our skill to add the Orgoth. Roll a dice. Please be less than 11. It's 4, 4, and 5, which means we do have to shuffle something back from our deck. This is not the one that lets us draw cards. This is just the one that searches from our deck. But that's okay because we still get the Orgoth to our hand. So now we'll go ahead and Pendulum Summon, bring out the Orgoth, bring out the Hollow Hollow, and we can go for a level 7 Synchro play here. So activate Orgoth's effect, roll a dice 3 times, 4, 3, 4. Again, we get to draw 2 cards. It's so great when we get to do that. Synchro Summon into the Odd Eyes Meteor Burst Dragon. This is going to let us summon the Odd Eyes monster to our board. XYZ into the Big Eye. Big Eye can steal his High King Genghis. He doesn't have a discard option right now for his Dark Contract with the Witch, so we can steal his monster, and Flame High King Genghis can just completely negate his back row at this point. He even if he did have a discard out with Force. So now we have tons of big monsters to swing over his board with. Easy win over the DDD deck. Alright. So, we're going first here. We don't have our sort of standard Odd Eyes play, but we can still, of course, search for Orgoth from our deck very easily with our skills. So, at it, we don't roll 11 or higher, so we don't have to shuffle anything back into our deck, which is great. We get the free plus. So, activate Decision. We have our Pendulum Scales here. Go ahead and activate them. Summon our Orgoth to the board. Activate its effect and hope that we can again draw 2 cards with it. Actually, we don't even need a Pendulum Summon. We can just normal summon because it's level 4, right? But go ahead and roll 3. We don't hit 2 of the same, which is fine. We'll just set our 1 back row and pass. So our opponent is playing Super Quant. Now, Super Quants have a lot of really cool plays. First off here, they can use this field spell to XYZ summon into powerful monsters, but they have to discard a card when they do so as a cost. So he activates his field spell to XYZ summon using his monster. We'll chain Book of Moon to flip it face down, which means he's going to lose out on the card that he discards, and he doesn't get to XYZ summon. But really interesting, he discarded Volcanic Shell here. That's going to let him search for another one from his deck, which is great because it means our opponent has free discard fodder for the Super Quant, which is really powerful, obviously. So come back to our turn. We get a Summoner's Art. First things first, we got to activate Orgoth's effect. Try to draw 2 cards again. 1, 3, 5. No draw for us this time, but it's okay because we still have our skill. We have another Orgoth that we can summon and try to get another effect. So we'll roll, try to be 11 or less. It's under 11, so we don't have to shuffle the Orgoth back into the deck. We can then activate the Summoner's Arc to summon the Archives, or add the Archives Pendulum Dragon to our hands. Then we'll go ahead and pen summon both of these things to the board. We can then activate the Orgoth effect, roll a dice 3 more times. 2, another 4, number 4. Nope, but it's okay because we got 4,000 attack points on this thing now. So we'll just go into the Volo. He has White Princess in hand. Oh, I was gonna say this entire time that I was playing him, I could tell that he had White Princess in hand because of the the way the delays work when your opponent has something they can activate. So I needed to go for the Doom Rider to protect for next turn, but that's okay because we can swing over his monster with Orgoth, and we still have protection next turn with the Doom Rider. So swing over his monster. It does get the effect off. We'll deal 400 more damage here. Not enough to trigger a Destiny Draw effect just yet. So come back to his turn. Normal something. Activate the Super Quant field spell to again XYZ summon. We're going to chain the Doom Rider's effect to pop his monster. It gets destroyed. So again, no XYZ summon and he loses the discard. But this time he discarded the Metal Foes Fusion. So he's going to be able to send it back into his deck to draw a card. But his other card in hand is only a Volcanic Shell. So it's not like it's that effective. And the card he top decked here can't save him, so we get the win. Easy W.